Something important, ba?
Mashallah, we're live. Isaac, I'm gonna mute you.
Yeah, mute me.
So, hi, Barrister. The drill is I'm gonna send you the link. When Facebook generates it, I could send. Oh, I'll send to Isaac. Isaac is gonna send to you. There's gonna be Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, but maybe YouTube and Facebook. I got the Facebook link, so Isaac will send to you, so you can forward to your social graph or share to your social graph, and they can follow, and they would be able to comment and interact that way as we have a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, mute me.
So and interact that. Yeah.
Good. Have you sent me the link, Brian?
I'm sending it now. I just got it. Yeah.
And you can be perfect, baby. Cause nobody's perfect.
Alright, I sent it.
Is this the song Ebizi asked for?
Yeah, man, the song is so great that.
Wow,
anyway, by the way, this is by Tatiana Manawis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Proposed by Barr.
I like the song already.
Yeah, I'm gonna repeat it. So I'm just saying the title so that it shouldn't be as if we copyrighted it. So we don't own rights to it. It's just plain, just requested. So all those who are experts in like cyber law. And Barrister, is there some space in cyber? Is there some prison in cyberspace that they're gonna lock us up in if we listen to this song in cyberspace without paying?
So I've sent the link to you. So
yes.
Good. So just share.
Let me get the YouTube one too. Isaac, I'll send the YouTube link.
Okay, good.
You gotta show them the real you. You gotta give them what you got.
So Ebizi, just so you know, Brian is a computer guru.
They're gonna lock.
He's a computer guru. He's a FICO like you. He reads 24 hours like you. He strives for. That's why he likes the song. He had perfection there. You know, I'm sure he's already visualizing perfection again. So
it's a beautiful song.
So me, I'm just we are those type of people that they say, oh yeah, clap for Ebizi, we'll do like this. Then the teacher will say, good, I'll work with that.
Yeah, Isaac, I sent the YouTube link to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share on my wall and we'll be able to start chatting. Okay. Shout out to anyone listening, and feel free, guys. You could do your shout outs too before we start.
Maybe I've sent you the YouTube link. You can also share it.
I said it's okay to ask for help. Now listen.
But Brian, is this gospel?
Man, it's everything.
It's everything.
No, it's not.
Okay. So is it American or British?
I'll just say Western. The reason I just like this song not because of the artist, but the message it passes. It's a song that I used to boost myself. Sometimes when I sing it or I play it, I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, you are strong, you are worthy. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay. So it's a song that in my low moments or in a time where I feel like I need more boost, more energy, extra motivation, I just play it and then somehow it helps me to keep pushing.
So Brian, we're live, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, we're live already. And but I'm sharing the link, so after that, then you guys can go and chatting.
Okay. Because Ebizi, I was just thinking. I say, I hope you are not the type of people that don't used to listen to Nigerian music and be listening to American music.
I do. No, I listen to Nigerian music.
Because now some Africans are calling for people to be listening to their country music and not be listening to abroad music.
Okay.
As a way of promoting local content. But music is universal at the end of the day. That's what Brian tries to say here by vision. He didn't even know whether he was Chinese or not. Like me, I think most of the songs that I like, I'm a hip hop person, and most of the hip hop songs I like, sometimes it's not even the beat, it's not even the lyrics, but just the beat. When I just listen to the beats, I just go with them. I remember there was this Two-Face song. I was traveling with one older man, and we are talking about the song. He said the song, if they play it in the forest, all the witches and the wizards will come out, they will dance peacefully.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Dr. Frank told us that, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing like you sing to a baby and they'll fall asleep, right? So that reaction could be that you jump and stand on air or spin with your head or something.
Wow. In fact, Brian, you have just recaptured something that just sing me. That really tells how very powerful music is. That you just sing to people, especially babies, and they just sleep.
Yeah, pass out.
Wow. All of us should be singing songs now.
And there are even funnier things about music. Like before, right? Before, when people fight wars, they were not able to march on straight lines. So they had to buy a band. So when they started playing music, that's when they were able to march on straight lines. Because when there's no music, everyone is just going, coordination is not there. But with music, it's easy to follow the beat. So you see another magic that music has. Yeah.
Good.
Nice. So anyway.
Okay, so should we do Born to Win by Timaya?
Okay. Born to Win. Mashallah, I like Timaya, man. Like, you know.
You and him look alike now, Brian.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Take a look at his forehead.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't forget the seat he's sitting down. He's not taller than Timaya.
So the thing is, and I was asking myself this question yesterday. I think you relate. Both of you probably relate. If you look at buildings, most of the buildings that we see, most of us, especially here in America, they were built maybe 100 years ago. So I was thinking that what are the kinds of buildings that our generation will build? You see, like, we have not yet built. I don't know if that makes any sense. We have not yet built our things. So we are still building. So, but that realization first occurred to me through people like Timaya. Because as growing up, I was listening to old musicians, then I would see somebody start something and then collaborate with Sean Paul that I knew as a big. I was like, whoa, it means that I just need to push. You see, so I saw how people build things as opposed to the houses that we met that I could not even imagine what it meant to build something. Yeah, so these guys, man, I relate with Timaya a lot. Like, it made me believe in myself that, you can hustle, man, and do things.
Plantain boy. Is he your brother from Bielsa, sis?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you're we can say you're a plantain girl.
That was back in the early career.
Yeah.
Yes, plantain boy, yes.
Nice. Ebizi, when it was Brian.
Yeah.
He liked all these excellence things. You just sent me your screen grab, Isaac, man, we need to get this girl on this show, man. Which girl? I checked. The first thing I saw, face of Bielsa. Face of Bielsa girl child. I was like, wow, this is interesting because it's new in Nigeria. How many states have faces of girl child, in Nigeria? Particularly the northern Nigeria where I come from, where the girl child are really very relegated, more than where you come from to the background when it comes to education and the normal balance, in the society. So that really caught my attention. I was like, maybe there must be something very interesting about you. Until I read, you sent me your bio and I just see all your first class. I say, Jai, this show, waiting on contact for this show. Me where I graduate with third class. I said I was just 4 years speak pidgin English, Don't you say that? But that Brian is here, I have no shaking. This is why we're so solid in Topo Spaces. Brian is a computer engineer with the World Bank. I'm a journalist. I do stuff. I write for CNN. So we are trying in our own little ways. I feel very relaxed. It's a chat show. We are just going to be basically gisting. So please tell us, about Ebizi. What did make you? Why did you become a first class person?
Okay. So right from when I was a child, I was exposed to excellence from the schools I attended, especially my secondary school, which is MRI College. And most times they would tell us about people who had invented things, people who had made giant strides in their field, in life generally, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. And I was inspired. So I felt like this is something I need to do. It's not enough for me to just live. I need to live a life of impact. Like I need to, even when people say, "Oh, this is impossible. Nobody has done this before." I felt like I should be the person who would take up the challenge and say, "I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter how difficult it is." And the strategy that has been helping me is mentorship. So even before I gained admission in NDU, I knew I wanted to study law, and I also wanted to make first class in law. That was even before I gained admission. So right from when I was in secondary school, I had that desire, and then getting the admission, I just worked towards it, especially with the help of my seniors, mentors, lecturers, etc. And there's something I've always believed, that everybody is their own brand. And I felt like my major watchword is excellence. So anything I do, even outside academics, I just want to be the best. I just want to give my best shot. I just want to give my 100%. So that's just it for me. And even beyond law, I do other things as well. So, like I did a computer forensics. I've gotten to certifications in that, and I'm also a professional member of Computer Forensics Institute Nigeria. I'm also a caterer. Like I cook. I used to do it on a commercial level before I landed for a year plus. That was before I gained admission in.
Mashallah.
So you are a wife
these things,
material.
I just give it my
And
best
you got the
shot, such
glory.
that you see me dancing, like you see me.
Mashallah.
Yes, it's good now. It's very good. Oh. It's the most important
Whatever it
certificate
is
that
I
you have.
do.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah. Thank
Interesting.
you.
When you were talking, I know that we've had guests here. Brian, two of the most interesting, some of the most interesting women we've had on this show is Gloria Balletson, who also
All of
studied
them are
law.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they are all she has her own radio station. She does all kinds of things too. We had barrister Hawa Shekero, who is also, she was also coming first secondary. Bright, can you just tag them? Do you think you can just tag these two individuals just so they follow? I'm sure they'll find Ebizi very interesting. So Hawa is, she was also first secondary school, first university, first in all her classes, and she's a lawyer too. She's actually the chairperson, the first female chairman of the NBA Abuja chapter. So I'm sure if they come, they will be happy to follow you. I'm just wondering, maybe somebody just decide to read law, he will get first class, right? Maybe just read law, you just get first class. So,
No, of course you have to look towards it.
so I mean, in getting, let's talk about this first class. That is for me. That one I really want to learn.
No problem.
Because now I want to go back to school again. So how can one be consistent? Because me, I tried it in my days in ABU. How can you be consistent? Because when I saw your CGPA is 4.75 something, that means that from 100 level for 4 years, you failed only 5 marks, only 15 marks, or 25, only 25. How can one
0.25.
how can one keep up that consistency? We are humans. How can you keep up that consistency from 100 level to graduation without, one day go just say, make I just sleep, just leave this class, I beg, I just sleep, make this, I beg, I don't understand this test, make I just leave. How can you stay consistent?
Okay. So for me, what helps me to stay consistent is because firstly, I knew what I wanted, so I was ready to pay the price. I mean, price in the good way, not doing dubious things. Then, secondly, I understood how the system works. So, right from my year one, I had seniors who gave lending hands, gave us tutorials, gave us materials, even explained how CGPA works. So, from my year one first semester, I understood how it works because I was curious. I kept asking questions because there's something I believe in. Um, if you want to do what others have not done before, you have to reach out to those who have passed through that route and speak to them, especially for those who did not make it. Like, what did you do differently? What did you do? What were your lessons? What were your mistakes? What were your strengths? So I drew from all of those things. And the basic thing I understood was, if I have to graduate to the first class in law, I have to get it right from first semester year one. So my year one first semester, I had, by God's grace, I had 5 A's and 2B's. So that gave me
Mashallah.
4.71. Yes. And then second semester, I had about 6 A's and 1B. So that gave me like a 4.8. 4.84. Yes. So, and God helped me. I kept building on it. So it's not like it was an easy road all through. It wasn't. There were times where I was frustrated. Of course, long classes, so many materials to read, and I hardly used one textbook for each course. Minimum I did was mostly two textbooks. For the ones I could not afford or my parents could not afford, I would use the library to read those things. And then, the light system too in Nigeria. There were times I would want to read and there would be no lights. And I just took it as a
Nepa.
challenge that, oh.
Sorry,
So
Nepa.
okay, you want to say something?
No, I said sorry, Nepa. We will not allow you to read.
Okay, yes,
Of
yes,
NEPA.
that was
Yeah.
also a challenge for me. So there were times where I would have used light as excuse not to read, but I got a rechargeable lamp, and there's also times where the rechargeable lamp would even go so low, and I would have to struggle using it or use a candle just because I had certain reading targets. So another thing that worked for me is I did not wait until when it's exam period before I started reading. From day one, as the semester starts, I start reading. In fact, at some point in my year two, I adopted this method of even reading during holiday. So while others are on holiday, lounging, etc., I do a bit of resting and then I start preparing for the next semester. So ahead of the next semester, I already have the course outline. I look at the textbook. I try to make some notes ahead of time. So sometimes, like my year three, before I resumed for year three, I had finished literally all the topics, reading it on my own. So I was just ready to go to class, listen to the lecturers, jot as much as I could, read again. So another thing that helped me was just by the fact that I understand things in a fast manner. Once I go over things again and again, it sticks. Even if you wake me up from my sleep, I would be able to tell you. And another guiding principle for me is don't read to pass, read to know. So I structured my mind in a way that whatever thing I'm reading, I try to know it for myself because I felt like in years to come, these things may come up and it won't be nice to, if a start graduate and they're asking you that kind of thing and you don't know it. Although they say, God forbid that a lawyer knows all the law, but at least if you know where to yes. I took it as a challenge that whatever it is I've been taught, I'm going to know it for myself. I'm not just going to read because I need to pass this exam or get first class. It needs to show. Because you would agree with me that there are some first class graduates that when they speak, you'd be like, this person really get the first class. There are basic questions or basic things they should know, but when you ask them, you'll be shocked that they don't know it. And it's related to their field. And I never wanted to be in that shoe. So I worked towards it. Year one, I built. Year two, I built again. My year three, first and second semesters, I had all A's. And then
Mashallah.
year four was where I had the hits. Year four was when I saw my CGPA drop from
What happened?
4.8,
What happened?
yes,
You fell in
2.8
love with
to
one fine boy.
4.7.
He deceived you small.
Sorry?
I said, what happened now? You fell in love with one fine boy. He deceived you small.
Oh, not at all. I don't just know what happened there. Although year four is actually a challenging year. If you ask any law student or any lawyer, it's a common challenge that many lawyers or law students face. For lawyers, they faced it when they were in school. Year two and year four. Because year two is when you start doing core law courses. In year one, you do only one law course most times, legal method. And then the other courses are borrowed courses, political science, sociology, literature, economics, psychology, etc. But from year two, you do more of law courses. That's where you do contracts, Nigerian legal system. So it's a challenging phase such that not everybody is able to cope to learn law at that initial stage. So everybody's trying to find their footing. to understand how the law causes work and all. So many people in that their year 2 they drop, their CGPA drops. But God helped me. I was able to maintain mine, even if I didn't have 5 points. So on that thing that I did was I always targeted 100% in my courses and 5 points. Every single semester I targeted 5 points. But it only worked out for me in 3 semesters. My year 3 first and second semester and my year 5 final semester. So all through my 10th semester, because it's a 5 years course, although I was in school for approximately 6 years, I gained admission in 2012 and then I graduated in 2018 because of strikes, etc. So I out of the 10 semesters, 9 out of the 10 semesters, I actually had the best result in my set. That's in my class. And then one semester my result was second best. Yes. So 3 semesters out of the 10 semesters, I had all A's. And thankfully, although some people say that's unfortunate, at the Nigerian law school, to have first class at the Nigerian law school, you need to have all A's because the Nigerian law school grades you by your lowest grade. So if you want to have first class at Nigerian law school, you need to have all A's in your 5 courses. So if you have 4 A's and 1 B, that's a 2-1. So having those three 5 points in my university gave me a sort of comfort that Ebizi, you can actually do this. If you could do it in NDU, in as much as you did not do it most of the semesters, you had the first class and you were able to have all A's in 3 semesters. Law school, you can do it. So in as much as I know that the learning pattern is different, the teaching pattern, the exam pattern is different, somehow it was part of what boosted my confidence that I could do it again. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, you're lucky. I don't know how the education system works there. You know, with A's, there are these mathematicians that have gotten into the education system and they're playing magic with grades where they curve things. So no matter how you work, sometimes someone may work, let's say, if especially courses that are hard, sometimes because the students don't participate too much, so people will start having like 10, 20. So then the teacher might end up making C to be 10. So you see someone who has like maybe 40 may have an A. So you hustle and have 100. You have an A, someone has a 40. so such tricks that they play mathematically, sometimes it comes back to bite society. Thanks. The thought was just going through my mind when you tell me about the grades. It's really interesting to have that determination. It's like you're the captain of a ship. It's like she's the captain of a ship. That's where we're going. Even if all the sharks or whatever try to fly and bite you, you keep going. And I was also thinking about this. You know, if airplanes start having accidents all the time, or cars just start breaking down, God forbid people die. People will start saying, "Oh, the mechanics, the pilots, like they will point the fingers at them, and they may even want to shut down the industry, right?" And those people, like the pilots, they master the laws of mechanics and other laws of physics, and that's what they use to make us travel and go. So, but me growing up, I've never trusted those that are taking care of the laws of society, like lawyers. When I hear lawyer, it's like lawyer and cop. Like even in the movies, so don't put it on me. Like even in the movies, lawyer, cop, those people. So now you are like pilots. So if they were pilots and things were breaking in the plane, you say the pilot, what are these pilots doing? So now in society is so broken that I don't even know where to start. You see? So how do you feel participating in this sector that I can just point fingers at and just run my mouth anyhow? Perhaps I don't know what I'm saying. So what are the things that it could be stereotypes? What are the things that we don't know about it that actually still attracts people like you?
Okay, I appreciate if you can rephrase that because I lost it for some seconds.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
did not get the beginning part of it.
So I'm saying,
Yes.
what are some of the misunderstandings that some of us in the public have about law that we fear lawyers and cops so much? And in your experience going down that path, what am I missing? What is society missing?
Okay. So firstly, I would mention that lawyers are advocates, so we are trained to speak up for the truth. We are trained to defend those who do not have justice. we are trained to ensure that justice is done in every circumstance. But you agree with me that among every 12, there's a Judas, or you also agree with me that there's hardly any sector that doesn't have people who you would want to point accusing fingers to. But I want society to understand that the common notion they have about lawyers is not as true as they think, because many people see all lawyers as liars, many people see all lawyers as those who can turn white into black. Well, one thing I would want to point out is that not all lawyers are liars. We still have very sincere, truthful, God-fearing lawyers, people who would not just take any kind of matter. Like personally, there are certain matters I cannot take because it would be against my faith and my integrity. And I also want to mention that there are loopholes we have in our laws. There are certain escape routes that even people who are wrong can build on or hinge on. And then some lawyers may want to use that loopholes. And, the common man would think that, oh, this lawyer is being dubious. But it's a loophole that we have in our system. It's an escape route. Take, for instance, the issue of rape, which is a common thing in society. And there are certain elements you have to prove, like, for example, there was penetration, there was no consent, etc. And a basic principle in criminal law is that all ingredients of that crime must be established. So what it means is that if, for example, the crime of rape has 4 elements, you have to prove all 4. So if you cannot prove one, they cannot convict the person. But the average Nigerian or the common man out there may not see it from that angle. But then we know that that is how it should be. Now, that's a loophole, because through that, some people who are actually guilty of that particular offense in the real sense of it, in the eyes of the law, they are not guilty. And then there's also this common guiding principle that rather than 99 rather than one innocent person to be convicted and sent to jail or suffer for a crime he or she did not commit, it's better 99 guilty persons they go scot-free. So that's to tell us how intense the criminal justice system is. That's why you can see someone who people may be caught in the act, or it was so obvious that this is the person who did it, but because there's no evidence or supporting facts to prove that in the court of law, and then their lawyer hinges on that, and the person goes scot-free. Not because every lawyer is that bad or that dubious. No. Sometimes it's the loophole in the system, and the fact that the law would rather prefer that 99 guilty persons they go scot-free rather than having an innocent person being convicted.
Mashallah. Law is so interesting that some people say that it's made by those who have power to actually, so maybe those loopholes are just gates that they can pass through and just disappear. Because let's look at theft, for example. They will catch the guy that will steal a wallet or will steal rice somewhere or steal your phone, whereas there's someone that has stolen billions somewhere else. It may not be directly, especially in the cases of the world today, due to inflation, where we don't yet have a ruler anymore to measure things. Money today, maybe 1 unit is like saying, 1 Fahrenheit is 50 today, 1 Fahrenheit is 50 this tomorrow. Like, those things just keep changing. So how can we be stable? And how do you reconcile the way life is, that kind of stage that our lives play on, with the knowledge that you have? Doesn't that suffer you? Like, because you've been exposed through your studies to the ideals of this sector. When you look at reality, there's some sort of a divergence. Things don't really converge as we thought maybe in school. How do you reconcile that?
Even when it comes to law we are being taught in school, when we come to practice, we see that it's not 100% as we were taught in school. It happens. You're right that reality is far from what is ideal. But then how I reconcile it is I just try to adjust, I just try to adapt while trying to be an agent of change, while trying to be an agent of social change, making a mark in the legal profession and beyond. Um, you must also have emotional intelligence, because there are certain things you may do that may not be accepted by all. So while you're trying to be that change where you want the ideal thing to be the order of the day, you need to use wisdom, you need God's guidance, you also need to use diplomacy, that's an effective way of making those changes. But it's not something that can be done in one day. It takes consistent efforts, and not just by one person. It has to be by a team of people who have similar interests or goals in mind, such that the ideal thing which you should have in society would be the order of the day in the shortest possible time. Although most times it's not going to be an easy road. Sometimes lives would go in cause of fighting for justice or ensuring that what is being ideal is done. But I mean, we will continue to do our best. Like personally, I'll continue to see how I can make sure that that which is ideal comes forth. Like for example, there's this campaign I joined recently in Bielsa. It's called the School No Be Scam campaign, and just like one of my lecturers mentioned in that forum on the particular day we had the event in Bielsa, he mentioned that school no be scam is not, it's not a statement of facts. It's something we are working towards. Because you hear youth today saying school na scam, that's because they've not seen the dividends of going to school. People go to school, put in their best, get the certificate, and there are no jobs for them. Life is miserable. It's as good as perhaps just starting a business 4 years before or 5 years before and leaving the whole school stress. But we need to push that message that school not be scam, not because that is how things are now, although that's how it is for some people. But we know that education, school has not given us that satisfaction. Actually, in Nigeria, it hasn't given us that satisfaction. And we know that in the long run, people will have more evidence, people will see more reasons why school is a thing they shouldn't joke with. Yes, so that's how I
So,
usually reconcile it.
oh wow, I see.
Mm.
And you were talking about school, and
Yeah.
I was
Brian,
actually
please let me run. The NEPA has dropped again. Please
okay,
forgive me. NEPA has dropped in my house.
okay,
Let me
okay,
run and get organized for fuel for Jen.
okay. All right, yeah. So when you were talking about school before that, as we talked about society, I was thinking of what is happening, and many practices today for conflict resolution. Let's say if something is wrong, you may ask like five whys. Why did I go to work today? Because there was traffic. Why was there traffic? There was an accident. Why was there an accident? Because the person slept late. Why did they sleep late? Because if you ask all these questions, you can solve a lot of problems in a
Yeah.
society. But now, if we go back, we would see things pointing to education. Well, maybe why did this person mismanage funds? Because he didn't even know what he was doing. Why did he not know what he was doing? He did not study that. How did he even get there in the first place? But we keep asking those questions. So, from those and with this movement that you mentioned, what are some of the ways that we can touch or maybe season our educational systems, and perhaps what kind of spices do we need to put there so that it comes out right and we can have like brighter futures?
Okay. Thank you. So for me, um, especially as an ambassador of education, firstly, I would want the government to understand that they need to put in more investment in education. If you look at the national budget yearly, year after year, you see what is being put into is nothing compared to what is put in some other sectors or what the government rather spend money on.
Mm-hmm.
So putting in the money which is needed in the sector would help students in having that enabling environment which they ought to have.
Mm-hmm.
You look at many schools, that's why ASU keeps going on strike, although some people would make reference to other reasons. But if the government is doing, the federal government and the state governments are doing what they're supposed to do, the strikes will not be as much as it is. And you'll find out that there will be more facilities, more infrastructures for students. You see a school having about maybe 50,000 students or even less, and the library cannot even accommodate up to 20% of the students. That's a problem. Look at the hostel situation, it is terrible. Some schools, you see up to 13 people in a room and up to 20 or more people sharing one toilet and one bathroom. Those are things that can destabilize certain students and not make them giving their best in their education. So a starting point for me is the government should make the right investment in the educational sector so that those infrastructures, those facilities that we have in the Western countries or in developed countries, we would have them as well. And that would also help our people, help Nigerians, help Africans to be able to give their studies more effort. Then secondly, it's speaking to the youth, speaking to the children, making them understand that irrespective of what the government does, irrespective of how we may not see the government putting in the effort they're supposed to put in, they should look at it that education and school is for them. They should look at it from the long-term picture. Like for me, I did not have the rosy environment, but I had to make it myself. Like at some point in uni, from my 300 level, I started doing kitchen on a commercial level. I would take cooking jobs I would do
I
just to
see.
make ends meet. And then I was able
Mm-hmm.
to save up, get some more kitchen equipment, get more jobs, and I was able to get a generator.
Wow.
So in my like 400 level, I already
Mm-hmm.
had a generator, 400 final year. So anytime I want to do it, I could just put on my generator. Now, that's
Uh-huh.
because there was a problem which is not having steady light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even because that's the reason why if I'm to read today, most times you see me with my medicated glasses. That's because the poor light system already spoiled my eyes even before I was able to afford the generator.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
so it, yes, so I did not look at it from the aspect of, oh, because government is not giving me 247 light or they're not giving me light for 15 hours daily. That means I won't read the way I'm supposed to read. I took it as this is for me. This is my future. The government may not have me at heart. They may not give me the enabling environment I need, but this is an investment for myself. There are people who are ahead of me. Things were not rosy for them, but they made their way through to the top. I
Yeah.
can do same. And there's something I've always believed that with God, all things are possible. Luke 1:37. That's
Mashallah.
one of my favorite scriptures. And
Mashallah.
then, sorry?
I said mashallah. I'm gonna ask you about that. Actually, what you
Uh,
mean, but please go on. Mm-hmm.
oh, yes. Then another one I like is Philippians 4:13. It says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So
Mm-hmm.
even in times where I feel like, oh, there is no encouragement, like throughout my stay in NDU, I did not get any bursary.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some people who would be angry with it and be like, oh, so they didn't give me bursary. In fact, I'm
Yeah.
leaving school, I'm dropping out, and all of those things. But I did not do that. I just felt like government cannot cater for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They may be doing, some governors are doing their best. Some may not work as people want. But I feel like the more youths realize this themselves, that this is about them,
Yeah.
then the more they'll be able to go extra miles, even when it's not convenient, because they're looking at the bigger picture. So
Absolutely.
firstly, the government should put in more investment in the educational sector. Then the youth too should take it as a personal project beyond what the government can offer,
Mm-hmm.
beyond how the government may disappoint us. They should work out. There's always saying in Christian Bible, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So work out your own education, work out your own future,
Uh-huh.
irrespective of whatever is going on in society. Because most times, if you really want to follow what's going on in society, you'll be discouraged, you'll even be depressed, and you just
Yeah.
feel like, you know what, I can't do this. Which is why you see that when Africans go to other countries, they thrive. Why? Because we've seen the heat, we've seen the worst situations here, and we've been thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, especially Nigerians, I feel despite what is going on, we are still happy people. I think we're one of the happiest people in the world. That's what is going through, what's going on in Nigeria, and what we
Yeah.
are going through. You find out that online people catch a lot of clues,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, after what is going. Sometimes a situation that ordinarily should make you depressed and feel like, oh, this government has come again, oh, this person has come again, oh, what's going on in the north, what's going on in the south, what's all of this. You see, they can turn the situation around, and you just see people laughing and catching crews. And I
Mashallah. Yeah.
feel, yeah, like that sometimes people take it to the extreme. I feel that's a good way of us even trying to maintain our sanity in Africa.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
sometimes
evolution.
I think
Yeah.
about these things to be really
Yeah.
down. Yes.
Natural selection is like that. If you imagine you don't laugh, you get depressed and you die, and then perhaps a couple of
Yes, I
people figure
mean,
that out, and it gets embedded in their
yeah.
genes. Their kids take it up, and perhaps
Mm-hmm.
that's our own natural selection. But I mean, on this note,
Yeah.
then I'm beginning to feel like there is perhaps an a symmetry between the government and there's a government's pool of information and that of the public. It looks too like it's not a one-sided thing because sometimes we look at the government as though they're supposed to serve us. They're supposed to come and look for you in your room and give you that generator as if you're Igwe or
Exactly.
something. So are there some of these
Exactly.
routes that you know that people should look out to and check out so that they can always be informed? Even here in the United States, there is a lot of that's what people know. Like the habit is to look around. Maybe that's what they mean by when you're in Lagos, open your eyes. Like they are looking around because there could be some note on the wall that says send an email to this to get a grant for this or to have this amount of dollars send it. People just send it, you get it. And there are people that have missed public exams because they think that okay, 1,000 people are gonna apply. I don't have a chance. and then 1,000 other people are thinking like that. So the first person that sends it wins. You see, so yeah. So what are some of those things in your experience that we can learn from? So yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and sorry, before you continue, like even if I have that experience, Isaac, like I won a Microsoft scholarship. So I saw it, I was passing and I saw it and I was
Tell
like,
her,
what?
tell her, tell her, tell her what the story. Tell her the story that you told them. That yes,
So
I
oh
get the
yes, yes.
Microsoft. I'm sure she will relate to it.
Yeah, so I was passing on University of Maryland, computer science, and I saw Microsoft scholarship. You need to talk about why you're studying technology or computer science. What are your dreams? Where you come from, and how you've been evolving. So I saw it and I felt like, this is College Park. That's where the guys who founded Google and the rest they went to that school. So I'm thinking there are other guys that will be there that can get it. So I wouldn't write it. And I was like, F this. I went to my room and I just wrote the letter. I just told my story. How from when I learned about computers and one day that I figured out that since my uncle was a carpenter, and he used wood. When I'm making computer programs, I'm using text. So just like you take a piece of wood and shape it, make the leg of its seat, make the other leg, put. So I can build a program by describing it with text. So that's what I was explaining to them, and they were amazed, and they gave me my scholarship. You see, so a lot of people get to miss things like that by maybe being afraid or not giving it a try. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so sorry, continue. If you have some of the stories or how we can see opportunities out there and chase them.
Okay. Yes. So personally, and then based on my Christian faith, I do not see any situation as impossible. So I feel like just like what I mentioned earlier, Luke 1:37, which says with God all things are possible.
Mhm.
And then in the Christian Bible, we find out that we have fear not for 366 times. So it means for every day in a year, both in a leap year and in normal year, you find out that we have fear not. For one, do not feel intimidated. Do not then apply for this. I don't stand a chance. Like the Bible makes us understand that we are the salt of the earth and we are the light of the world. See yourself that even if there are 10,000 people applying for this particular thing, I am light, I will be distinguished. I will be like Esther, I'll be like Daniel, had the spirit of excellence. Despite the number of people, it could be 1 million people, it could be much more. I'll be singled out. I don't know how, but God will do it for me. So that's something that helped me because there were times where I would apply for certain things. Like I know back in NDU, I applied for a number of scholarships like Chevron, Shell, etc. There were some I got, like Chevron, I got Chevron. So that's like a national exam that you see many people are applying for. And mind you, in year one, all the ones I applied for, no one called me to write the exam. When I was in 200 level, I kept on applying and applying and applying, and then some of them called me, and then at the end of the day, I got that of Chevron. So I think this is a means of people being reminded of the fact that they shouldn't write themselves off. It's better you try and you don't get it than you disqualifying yourself. And then there's something I got to learn last year. There are certain applications that have deadlines. And then there's some people when they come across, they're like, oh, the deadline is already closed. I won't be able to meet up. It has already passed. But I've heard of testimonies of people who even apply for things even after the deadline. And like for me, I applied for Shibin scholarship last year, but somehow I couldn't because of things that were going on. Then I couldn't put in my application as early as possible. But even at the time I started working on it, I I had the opportunity of saying, oh, you know what, this remaining few weeks I won't be able to put in my application anymore. But I still give it my best shot. I felt like it's better I apply for it and I don't get it. At least I'll apply for it to even give me a sort of chance to even get it in the first place. So
Yeah.
even if I don't get it, at least let it be that I try. No, in life. It's not even about the number of times we fall. What matters is our ability to rise again. It's not about the number of times we've tried, but the fact that we are consistent in trying and trying again. But the important thing in trying and trying again is that you must learn to do things differently. Because they said that if someone keeps doing something a particular way and it keeps failing and it continues that way, then that person is mad. There's only a mad man who continues to do things the same way again and again and again. So even in life, when we try to do certain things, try to apply for opportunities and they don't work, we keep being consistent. It's beyond being consistent. You have to be sure that you're even doing it in the right way. So this is my little way of encouraging people out there not to write themselves off. Don't be intimidated. Don't feel that, oh, because many people are applying for this, the people who are even applying for this are brighter than me. No, don't write yourself off. Don't see yourself as a mediocrity. Don't have inferiority complex. This is life. Things are not rosy. Life will not just present everything to you on a bed of roses. So there are certain things you have to push for. There are certain things you need to fight for. Not in the wrong way, but at least give it your best shot. Put in the work. Put in the consistency. Put in the diligence. And then, of course, you have the God factor. God will definitely have a way of distinguishing you and then giving you favor.
Mashallah.
Why did you stop now? Just keep on talking now. You're making sense now. Why are you stopping for?
Mashallah. It's very funny, Isaac. You know, she mentioned that with God everything is possible, and I was wondering that what does that mean? Because like people just think that by that it probably means that things will work out.
No, you have to put in the work. Like, for example, when I got to NDU, I learned that since the inception of NDU, which was in year 2000, up to the point I got only one person in Faculty of Law had gotten first class honors. And then there were some seniors I talked to. Some would want to know what grade are you looking at having. I was like first class. Some outrightly told me, this is a government school. If it's a private school, that's very easy. But if it's a government school, like here, just remove your mind from it and just walk towards your 2-1 and go your way, because these people will break your heart. Like I had seniors who told me that. And then I had people who believed in me and felt like, okay, and wow, this is your zeal, this is your passion. Wow, for you to say this, that means you. Some went to the extra mile to give me materials, give me tutorials. They didn't have the first class, but like some of them were final year then, so it wasn't even possible for them to have the first class anymore. But they gave me that lending hand. So for me, I feel like people should not be carried away with impossibilities, or because nobody has done this before, so I can't do it. And then I got to the Nigerian law school. By God's grace, I'm also the first person from my university to have first class at the Nigerian law school. Again, it could have been an issue of, oh, nobody has done it before. It's a course in NDU, I can't break out of it. If people ahead of me for the past 20 years or 19 years couldn't do it, who am I? No, I did not write myself off. I was that small girl that people would, in fact, up till now, if I go to certain places, people just see me and like they will overlook me. They'll feel like this one, like from my looks, they just feel like maybe I'm just one girl. For some people up till now, they may feel that, oh, I'm still in uni, just a small girl. You get, I have that stature and maybe aura where people feel like, oh, this person doesn't know anything.
You're harmless.
Well, so even in ND, people didn't see me as a threat from the onset.
Maybe she's a ninja. You can just
People
pass
didn't see me as a threat from the onset. Like they didn't expect that everybody would have first class to be me. And yes, because I think one thing that gives people that impression is because I try not to talk too much. I just sit, I learn, I observe. I'm not the kind of person who would want to show herself. Even at the Nigerian law school, I wasn't the type that would be asking questions. But I don't know, somehow, just like the Bible says, that light cannot be hidden. Somehow, lecturers had a way of spotting me out and asking me questions. And then at some point, people now got this reputation of me. I was in Lagos campus law school. Like, this girl, anytime they ask her questions, she always gets it right.
Yeah.
And somehow, these just had their way of always, like, not always do, but many times would always call me out of the blues, ask me questions. And me, I'm someone that don't like falling my hands. So even before class, I read.
Yeah, I see.
After class, I read. Yes. So people were like, this girl, there's something about this girl. So that was how I became popular at law school. Not even because I was the type who was always showing herself.
Going to all parties around.
It's not that lecturers even spotted me and they're asking me questions. People wouldn't have really known me in Lagos campus. Because I'm not the type of girl, even when I want to read, I'm reading in a private place, but you won't see me, like, there's this set of people you'd see when they read, they're always all over the place, asking questions, arguing with lecturers. I'm not that kind of person. I'm mostly the type that will just ninja. Learn, take notes. Don't make noise. Somebody asking for my notes, I give you. If you ask me any question, I'll tell you. But to publicly show myself, that has not been my thing. So that's the reason why people just see me and feel like, oh, this one, like, they won't even reason me at all. Like, I'm very sure even some of my colleagues then, even in law school, before the lecturers spotted me, I'm sure if they were to pick people who are first class at the law school, I'm not sure I would have been one of them.
Mashallah.
I'm like that.
And that's how you like
I prefer doing my things that way. Just quietly do your thing. Do what you're supposed to do. I just feel like, this saying that empty drums make the loudest noise, somehow I use it for myself. I tell myself that there's no need making noise about yourself. Let your results speak for you. Let people speak
Mashallah.
for you.
Let
Don't be
me
the
let me
one.
keep quiet.
And
Let,
you know that
let,
like a ninja, that's how you gonna find yourself. How do they call the
let
house?
me
The
talking again.
how do they call the presidency of Nigeria? The house is in America is White House.
Asoro.
Asura. So it means that's how people that are ninjas are like that. Though, before you see you have settled, since ninjas can disappear and appear, they don't see you. Right, so as you are moving around, people don't see you. Until you guys settled as the president,
Yeah,
be like, this one,
yeah.
where did this one come from?
And most times, most of the most brilliant people, intelligent people, they don't talk. Oh. I mean, and they always look very harmless. You know, they always look very harmless. And that's another feature, that's another skill that helps you very much in life, where you don't look harmless. I mean, everything people just give you way. You don't know, and they don't know that as they give you this small way, you're making maximum opportunity of that little way.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
I will try and start learning those things. So honestly, it
Mashallah.
works.
But
It
why do
works.
you think? Just ask yourself, how do you think kings used to escape from their countries? Like, you see someone that is claiming that he's a big man. When it comes to catch him, now he will pretend that he's a small man, and that's all leaving he will pass. You see, how do you think the kings used
Every
to?
least opportunity, they're like, you know who I am. You
Yeah,
Yeah,
know who I
anyhow,
am.
yeah, right.
You know
they are nothing. They are actually nothing.
that.
Those people that say those kind of things,
I
they
think
are actually nothing.
the real ninja is there, just quiet. So
Yes. I mean,
anyway,
I used to have a friend of mine. He'll be making noise. If this one happen, I will do this one. I say, oh God, the main people that will perform don't use to
Coming
talk.
down.
Oh. It is when the action start that will confirm. Please stop shouting. Wow. A busy.
Mashallah.
I mean, it's also good, Brian, um, and fascinating. Around the circumstances in which he was made the face of Bielsa. Can you just tell us the story? What happened that led to you becoming there was somebody that went to Big Brother Nigeria, that obviously,
The ninja.
just tell us the story.
Tell us the ninja made it. The ninja that they were not seeing. Anyway, sorry,
You see
continue.
again,
Why someone that was seen on Big Brother every day, how
Big
many
Brother,
hours? The ninja just like
the
appeared.
ninja just, that one
Just
might be
tell
the
us.
real ninja moves.
Oh my god. Well, okay, this happened last year, and to be sincere, I was not. In fact, when the whole media push started, I wasn't even aware because I was really caught up with work. Um, but I just feel like God used people for me. Um, and I'm grateful. I'm really grateful because left for me, I just felt like, oh, 2018, I finished from NDU, no incentive, first class. I was only first class in my set, in faculty of law, nothing. I applied for scholarship, law school scholarship. They neglected me. They gave to some other people. Despite the fact that I was the best in my set, I did not get. All through school, nobody. So this whole thing happened at a time when I had given up on government, to be sincere. I just felt like, oh, my life is in God's hands. I know He's not going to let me down. They will not give me scholarship. To be sincere, I did not see the face of Bielsa girl child thing coming. I did not see it coming. So I was at that point in my life and I was trying to trust God and also look for opportunities myself to further my studies and have a better life, have a better career. And then the whole thing happened. To be sincere, I was in awe. I was just watching everything and it was
How
more of
did it
mixed
happen?
feelings. Sorry?
How did it happen?
Okay, so after the government of Bielsa State made a pronouncement for my sister Nengi, some people picked up interest in it and they felt like the SSA appointment on girl child development was wrong. It should have been someone who is good in education or someone who has done something of more value, etc. And to be sincere, I know some people use very harsh words that period, and I felt, but as I mentioned, mixed feelings. While I was happy that people recommended me. On the other hand, there were some kind of comments I saw. Some people would refer to her as a shower etc. and all of that. But I felt like some people left the issue and they addressed her personality, which I don't know. I still feel that people have their respective lives to live. People have different sectors they can choose to. So, that was a bit of in fact, at some point, I was very emotional about it. I felt like, yes, this is for me, but at the same time, I don't want a situation where, in trying to raise me or trying to make me rise, someone else is being brought down. That kind of feeling. Well, I um I thank God for how things later turned out at a point where I did not know the government to still do anything for me. They called me, I went to the government house, and then they honored me, gave me the scholarship, made me face of bias as a girl child, and then gave me an opportunity to lecture in NDU. I was really grateful because even before now, in my personal space, in my personal capacity, and also through some mentorship organizations I'm part of. I try to mentor people because there's something I believe in. I feel like people coming after me should be better than me. But just that I feel with the honor of the Bayelsa State government, which I really appreciate from the depth of my heart, that's given me a better platform for me to impact people, try to see how I can develop the girl child, see how I can come up with programs, come up with schemes, mentorship, etc that can enlighten them, sensitize them, make their lives better because we know the negative narrative about people from South, especially Bayelsa. Just as you mentioned about the female in the northern part of Nigeria, how they are relegated to the background. They don't really get good education. It's them getting into early marriages. So for Bayelsans, there's this negative narrative. People have this negative impression people have about us that every Bayelsa girl is promiscuous. That's not true because you find out that there are there are many female Bayelsans who are doing well by God's grace. And just that we still need to work on ourselves because, like I usually say, for we Bayelsans, and then even at large Nigerians, it's not people outside that will build Nigeria for us. It's not people from outside Bayelsa State that will build Bayelsa for us. We have to build Bayelsa ourselves. So I feel like in every way possible, in every legal way possible, I'm going to use my office, use my experience, use my exposure to see how I can impact lives, mentor as much people as possible. Like I already have some things coming up. My mentorship program and my website is going to be launched soon. So I also have a link in my Instagram bio where people sign up for my newsletter. So I have things on ground already, and I have more plans coming up such that I can impact in the time I'm in office and even beyond. After the time I'm in office, so far as I live, I want to be source of inspiration. I want to be someone who people look up to, and despite the impossibilities, but despite their background, despite the fact that they're coming from poor homes or a negative environment, they can see light at the end of the tunnel, work towards it, and be the best they can be.
Mashallah. Isaac, I'm gonna leave this episode again with gray hair, man. I need to dye my hair, over wisdom.
Yeah.
Over wisdom, over hair, with gray hair, man.
I started something recently.
Sorry?
I started something recently. That was last week. It's called Ebizi's wig. And it's coined from, yes.
Can you show us? You have it? You have it? Can you show us? If you have it.
So it's on Twitter. So I started it last week. It's mostly for law school students. Okay. So I had promised that every Monday I'm going to give them tips and hacks because they have their Barr finals coming next month. So I told them for every Monday up to their Barr finals, I'm going to be with them every step of the way to share tips and hacks that worked for me such that it can also work for them. They can utilize it and then also get the grades that they desire, of course, which is first class honors at the Nigerian law school. So that Ebizi's wig, it's coming from the fact that, as lawyers, we have our wig and gown. And if you look at the history of wigs and how its symbolism, it symbolizes wisdom. Yes, so that business wig, I feel like it's a platform for me to share wisdom, share tips, share hacks that can help people. So beyond law school, I'm looking at it from a broader picture where I can also carry other people who are outside the law profession along in their respective careers and skill. So choosing field that they
you say with this week the Twitter. How do I get it on Twitter?
Is it like a Twitter handle? On my personal page. So the hashtag is this week. So it's an EBIZIS then WIG. Like today, I put out some contents already. Yes.
Oh wow.
My name on Twitter is Ebizi Eradiri.
Okay.
Yes. So
Let me log in real quick. Just keep going. Why
okay.
are you getting here?
Okay. No problem.
Well,
But I mean,
you
yeah.
know, why,
Oh, okay.
okay,
Isaac, sorry, go on.
while Brian is trying to pull that out, I mean, for people who are watching all over the world, not just final year students in the Nigerian law school here, most are law school students all over the world, and even just women, people from every walk of life can also, I mean, access that and borrow one or two from there. I'm just wondering, people like you, when you're in school, you don't used to wear wig. When I saw that Ebizi's week, I was like, this guy, the Ficos, they don't used to wear wig. They would just go,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know
so,
that. In fact, let me just see.
yeah,
So I did not even have I did not have any atom of fashion sense when I was in school. I just felt like, see, this is the time for book, this is the time for school, this is the time for education. Like every other thing didn't matter. The only thing that mattered to me was God, family, book,
Mm-hmm. Oh
and
wow.
then of course friends and family and all. But priority was book. Like fashion was out of it. It was so
uh-huh.
it's now I'm in a professional field now. So I had to make
Swaggle.
adjustments etc.
Yeah,
Can you
of
hear me?
course.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
I can
hear
hear
you.
you. I
Yes, so
can
you're
hear you.
right. When I was in school, I just prefer
Uh-huh.
because for me I saw it as a distraction for me then because I felt like in fact I was on low cost in my year three. I was on low cost. I
But
started making my hair in about year four. That was when I started making my hair again. At that point, I had gotten used to the system and I felt like it wouldn't distract me then. But even at that, I did not go into luxurious hair, luxurious dressing. No, I was just trying to be as modest, as minimal as possible because I felt like this particular dream I had, if I'm not careful, anything can distract me and I'll miss it. And I'll live to regret it every day of
so
my
you
life.
did, so
Wow.
you did
So
the
I was
backup.
not set for anything. I wasn't because I felt like if I start going into it would be an issue of I want to use the latest wig, I want to use the latest handbag, the latest wristwatch, the latest this and iPhone. I
Uh-huh.
just zeroed my mind on it and said, Ebizi, number one, you come from a humble background. Your parents are going out of their way to even pay school fees and buy you books and take care of you. Put your head down so that you can make them proud and make them have a better life, make your family have a better life, and also help people who are around you who cannot afford certain things themselves. So I just felt like these other things can wait. By the time I make my first class, get good jobs, get exposed, get more opportunities, these things won't be an issue. I just like I don't know. Then it wasn't like I was saying it then, but I just had faith that if you can keep your head down and study
You are in
and hit
control.
this first class, then in future hair won't be a problem, fashion won't be a problem, clothes won't be a problem, having the latest iPhone won't be a problem. I know I'm not there yet, but by God's grace, I know God is taking me there. So I feel the earlier our youths identify their priorities in their lives and in their respective careers, the better for them. Because you find out that you see our youth misplacing priorities in school, they're already looking at wanting to use the latest car, the latest phone, and those things, to be sincere, are distractions and it can make them lose focus and miss the good grades, miss the good experience that they ought to have in school. It's not even enough by going to school. The school has to pass through you. It's beyond getting the grades actually, because there are some people who, despite the fact that they pass through the four walls of the university, when they are out, you can't really see it in their carriage. You see them as people who are still naive, people who like this. You have certain that you see the certificates, but you have certain doubts. This person really go to school, so I feel it's one thing to go to school, it's another thing for the school to pass through you. That experience would actually prepare you for the life ahead of
Uh-huh.
school, life outside school. Yes, so yeah.
Mashallah. And well, I was just thinking, I have my cousin. We always used to
Okay.
say that he wanted to be a doctor. So we always used to joke that
Okay.
he would go into medicine school with Lamborghini, and that used to inspire him. Just the fact that he wants to drive a Lamborghini while going to school, so that inspired him while we were in school. Or we're always looking for like ways to make money and see what we can do. But I mean that's really, I mean, your energy is really amazing. I'm interested in your computer forensics. I still can't find the Twitter stuff, so we can just go ahead and I'll be looking. I see your Twitter account there, and but when I find stuff that I can share, then I'll share. So tell us about the computer forensics. Like, what is it? How did you even get into it?
Okay. So in my 200 level cyber crimes, the cyberspace, more of technology, etc., and I got interested in it. I have a couple of interests too. But the reason why I decided to get certifications in it is because I found out that there are so much gaps in that particular sector. At the time I was taking the course in 200 level, we did not have a cybercrime law at the time. It was still in the process of being a law. It was a bill, but thankfully it became a law and it became enforceable. But you find out that when you compare Nigeria to other developed countries and developing countries, you find out that they have a more organized and structured um, cyber law, cyberspace, etc. So one of the needs I identified is that we needed more, or let me say, we need more Nigerians, especially lawyers or students, to learn this new field, because to be sincere, we are still underdeveloped in that area. Despite the fact that we have the point, although I appreciate the fact that we have the cybercrime law, but there is still a lot that needs to be done. One of which is getting more qualifications and certifications in that aspect. So that informed my decision to take that course. I was supposed to even take it earlier than the time I did in 2018. It's just that the first time, because it was being offered in Niger Delta, because it's offered by the Computer Forensics Institute Nigeria.
Yeah.
They organize it in every geopolitical zone every quarter. I did not have the money for it because it's a course that you pay in 6 digits. So I
Oh wow.
missed the first opportunity.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and that first opportunity, guess what? Despite the fact that I could not offer the course, like pay for it, I got the catering contract.
Oh wow.
So while
Yeah, yeah,
the
right.
course was going on in Bielsa, yes, I
Wife
was the one who
material.
handled the
Things
I,
always
I
play out.
handled the catering because the period that the course was on in Bielsa, I handled their breakfast and lunch. Yes, I
Oh
was still a
wow.
student then. I was in final year then.
Oh
Yes,
wow.
I handled it. Yes, I got the contract. So I got the yes. So I planned better for the coming year, the following year, which was 2018. I told my dad, of course, my parents, like I mentioned, I come from a humble background. So, of course, they really do their best. There are times they borrow to meet up certain expectations for us. So when I told him, he told me he didn't have money for it, but he had it in mind. So I reached out to an uncle of mine, Ebizi Eradiri, and
That's the man.
he gave me he gave me most part of the money, and then from my savings as well, because I've never joked with my savings right from year one. Like my year one, I remember starting with 1,500 naira every month. Every month I used to save 1,500 naira.
Wow.
Then after that was when I was able to get about 15,000 or thereabout. And then I told my dad, "Oh, dad, the fridge I told you about, I've saved 15,000." And he was like, "How much is the fridge?" Then the fridge was 30,000 naira. So I told him, like, "Oh, wow." So I think the following day or so, he gave me the remaining 15,000. I went to buy my fridge. The same thing
That's
for my laptop in year two. I needed a laptop as well. He didn't have the money, so what I did was I started saving again. And at some point, I called him, "Oh, dad, and regarding the laptop, I know you say you don't have, but I've saved this particular amount." So that's how savings has always been a thing for me. So with my savings, the little my dad could give me, and then the bulk I received it from my uncle, then I was able to go for it. So computer forensics in a nutshell is an aspect of especially when you relate it to law, is an aspect that where you have to do investigations into computers. And computers these days is beyond your laptop and your desktop, your phones, your wristwatches. So far as it
yeah.
can process, it can accept information and process it. You get so in computer forensics, you see that there are technologies that have been put in place to examine computers. But the essence of it is mostly to get evidence. That's where lawyers come in, because in handling matters in court, in handling matters out of court, that's the alternative dispute resolution mechanisms where people settle out of court. You need evidence. And then having access to these tools make you have more informed decisions on how to get evidence in the matter. So that's more of it in a nutshell. But beyond that, you do other sub courses like handwriting analysis, biometrics, like they teach you different types of biometrics, how you can identify flaws in the system, you know, yes, so it's more of an aspect that exposes lawyers or other um, people to technology, security issues,
Yeah.
the computer and technological aspect of things, etc. And you find out that most personnel in the security sector. They offer it a lot, even more than lawyers.
Oh, wow.
I'll continue to be an advocate of lawyers should go for it because computer forensics is very relevant in our legal profession. To even make your compilation of or getting of evidence there, it's even helping your cross-examination of computer forensics experts.
Mashallah. I mean, it's amazing. Although I'm just sitting there laughing that uh, nowadays with advanced cryptography and things like that and decentralization, you may have heard of Bitcoin and other things.
Yes,
I could,
cryptocurrency.
yeah, I could have a computer set up on top of another layer of the internet that maybe like the Tor layer, and then you will not see it. So I'll just hide my things and encrypt them. Even if you see it, you need to decrypt them, which is almost
Yeah,
impossible. Yeah. So, but do
yeah.
you think that is gonna help, especially like Nigeria and the rest? Is it a field that people should look into?
Yes, it's a field. It is. It's a field people should look into because even if you don't want to go into law or the security aspect of things, like
Mm-hmm.
knowing it for yourself, such that because when I took that course, it helped me to be more conscious about my details online, things you do,
Mm-hmm.
sites to avoid,
Mm-hmm.
traces you shouldn't leave, traces you should claim.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
like
I see.
even if not for anything, for yourself, for your personal cyber security,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that people should learn, people should know, if not for anything, for themselves, so they can protect themselves against hackers,
Mm-hmm.
cyber thefts, spoofing,
Mashallah.
etc. Yes, but the thing is, we find out that we have come to a dispensation where technology is the order of the day. Like, look at last year, most people worked from home due to the COVID and all of that. And that was when people saw the increased need for cybersecurity.
Yeah, right.
Like there were some law firms, even abroad, some organizations last year that got hacked because they had not put cybersecurity at the forefront ahead of time.
Yeah.
So at the time people started working from home, their systems, many people lost money
Mm-hmm.
due to cyber crimes last year. So I feel this is the future of work. This is the future life where most things are channeled to technology. Like look at us today. Prior to this time, you'd see that I have to meet you up maybe in the US or wherever you are
Yeah.
to have this interview or this chat.
Yeah.
But look at us today. You can do it from where you are. I can do it from where I am. Everybody's happy. Our audience is happy because they can also do it from the comfort of their homes, offices, or locations wherever they are. So knowing that this is how things are now and how it continue to be and how we continue to rely on technology, I feel people should pay more attention to computer forensics, cybersecurity issues, cybercrime, cyberspace, such that they can also protect themselves while others want to use it for other things, not like helping your Google career or your security exposure.
Mashallah. Isaac, I mean, that reminds me then, I hear that Bitcoin is banned by the Nigerian government. And do you
Yeah.
have any takes on that? Like, I've been looking for someone to argue about that with. Do you have any takes on that?
well, it's kind of a dicey issue
Okay.
because you know that the two key players in this sector, which is the CBN and the SEC, CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, they
Yeah.
actually have different positions regarding cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So you find out that in recent times, CBN and other banks, not like there was an outright ban on it, but what they did was in that circular.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Mhm.
Okay, so in that circular, what they did was to mandate all financial banks in Nigeria not to support transactions relating to cryptocurrency. Well, I mean, it's not like it's an outright ban. Like some people say there are so many ways to kill a bird, or there are so many ways to kill a rat. So,
Yeah.
well, prior to this time, the sex position was different. As a matter of fact, security sex.
Sorry.
Yes, no problem. As a matter of fact, the Securities and Exchange Commission has a different position on it.
Mhm.
Last year, we saw some release on certain statements they had made or releases they had made relating to cryptocurrency. There's no outright ban on it. In fact, they're looking for a way to even come into the space such that they can regulate the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah.
But since the CBN has made that release, we've not heard anything from the SEC.
Yeah. I see.
Not heard anything from SEC regarding their current position. We don't know if they've changed their position or if they'll still hold on to what they had said earlier. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that it's not like an outright ban, but it's more like a prohibition of banks in Nigeria supporting those transactions. So what it means is that if you want to pay for Bitcoin or any other Ethereum or any other currency and cryptocurrency, you have to make sure that you're not leaving traces from your bank. Like for example, in the narration, you're not putting in something like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency etc. Or you're not passing through your bank. I'm sure other people have their way of going around this. Because to be sincere, there's also the fundamental human rights angle that people are bringing in.
Yeah.
I'm sure very soon there will be matters in court regarding this fact. I know there are some that are in the line already, in the pipeline already,
I
because
see.
we will now find out whether indeed the CBN actually has that right to even make such declaration in the first place.
Yeah, I see. But actually, when I read it,
Well,
I was very happy because uh, it's a way to test the idea of this Bitcoin, for example, because it promises
Okay.
it's in terms of ideals, it's something that is just like you had your A grade. It has A grades when you test it against the properties of money, like transferability, divisibility, store value, measure of unit of account, and but one other important property it has is anti censorship. Like you can't censor it. So when they banned it, they're trying to censor it, right? And then after that, like you said, they're trying to regulate it. So it was actually created to fight things like that. So I was like, "Whoa, this will be interesting. I want to see how like Bitcoin actually fights this battle with the government of Nigeria." And I think that the government is going to lose for many reasons that we could get into. Yeah, and
I heard. I sorry for cutting you. I
no,
heard.
no
I
worries.
was listening on radio
Mm-hmm.
to the spokesman of CBN. He was saying that the Bitcoin thing is like a Ponzi scheme. That it's been there for ages and ages.
Mm-hmm.
It comes and some people benefit, and at a point it just crashes, and a lot of people lose money. So for them, they have the data, they know the history of this kind of financial businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So and as such, it's best they advise their people because they know that a lot of Nigerians will crash, would fall for this, and when it crash, it will hit the economy very bad. Just like MMM, Brian.
No.
MMM
Yes,
is a
I do. I know MMM. This currency is not an MM. It's not. It's not even related to MMM. It's not a Ponzi scheme. Like in as much as I'm not into it, I've studied it. So I pardon me, but I feel the person who made that event is kind of
I,
wrong
in fact, it
because
was on radio.
this is a digital currency we are talking about.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
talk
because
about it because a lot of people we
it's
need
not.
that
It's not.
conversation actually. Yeah, please
In
go on.
fact, they said it's been there for years, right? I'm just reporting what I
It's
had. I had it day before
it's
yesterday.
not a Ponzi. It's not a Ponzi scheme because a Ponzi scheme is more like you're saying, um, bring bring ten
He
thousand
didn't.
naira for
He actually
instance.
said he actually did not say it's a Ponzi scheme. He said it's like a Ponzi
Okay,
scheme. It will just come and people will make money and it will definitely crash. And those
so
are the
yes, what they
characteristics
can
of
do is
Ponzi schemes.
advise Nigerians, not mandate Nigerians. You can just advise, like I mean, it's their money. Those who want to do it, it's their money, it's their business. So because a number of people are seeing it from the negative angle, such that the government is trying to ensure that Nigerians are left in their current bounds, not having access to financial freedom, etc. Like I mean, at best they can just advise, oh, the government doesn't support this, so be cautious in your
Yeah,
cryptocurrency dealings. But not to impose it on people because I mean, people have their rights, people have choice to make. The left for them is their money. So far as
mashallah.
they are paying their taxes and they are good citizens, I don't think they should mandate anybody to stop. Like anybody that is interested in it, if they caution you and you don't take it, you go on with it because the it's a 50-50 thing. In the long run, this may actually gain such momentum such that it could be accepted all over the world as a means of payment. And what it means is the earlier you invest in it and have more for yourself, the better for you tomorrow. And the other part of it is okay, it may not be as proposed or as anticipated, but I mean, I feel people should still be left with the choice to make if they want to go on with it or not more of a mandatory thing.
Yeah, I see.
That's my take. That's my take.
Okay.
I mean, I fall on that side too, and that's why I think the Nigerian government is gonna lose if they want to really battle it. If you see like a battle, because first of all,
Yeah.
Isaac, you said the guy that was reporting was saying that it's like I mean,
Yeah.
if imagine those that send satellites abroad, if they're talking, if they're not precise like that, you and I will not be talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yet people are passing laws that deal with people's livelihood and stuff, and they're approximating. It's like, you see, it's just very strange. That starts from there, that he doesn't probably
Exactly.
understand
In
it.
fact, in fact,
Exactly.
in
Exactly.
fact, the reporter was even telling him, "Why you are of age, you are old. You probably are not in tandem with the latest technologies, of today. How can you now come and tell us we are of this age, we are children of this age, and you now come and start telling us that you know these things more than us?"
Yeah.
The man was like, they've had the numbers, now they have the stats, they have the history of cryptocurrency. It's been there for years, So I mean, they know that it will come and crash.
You,
Yeah.
I mean,
and this is, it's actually good they're saying all those, because it doesn't just expose
so the question, Brian, is that has it been there all over all these years?
I was gonna say that.
All
So
right.
the thing is that it has some properties that is gonna expose a lot of things. I mentioned stuff like store value, accountability. That alone is just showing that you cannot hold that person to an account. He can. It's not even current, right? Now it's something that was born in 2009, Isaac, almost like 2008, 2009. So it's more than 10 years old. So now, if you look at the economy and you look at economic activities, people always want something that they can use tomorrow. That's the only reason why you have money in your wallet or you go and put it in a bank, is because you know that tomorrow when you want something, you use that money. But
Yes.
today that is almost impossible. You don't even know where to put that money in. Even if you hold it, you want to take KK, the price has gone up. You have in 6 months, you want to take KK, the price has gone up. So if you have a bit of naira that you are keeping, it means that 10 years that naira that you own may not even have any value. So you want to put it in something that you know that will give you value. So look at Bitcoin 10 years ago, 10,000 Bitcoins could buy two pizzas. And nowadays, so 10,000 Bitcoins could buy two pizzas. So nowadays, today, the price is almost $50,000, or let's say $48,000, multiplied by the worth of those two pizzas 10 years ago. You see, so if you look at it like that as the store of value, you see that if you put your 10 naira there, and this is not advice, or no is advising anyone, we're just talking. If you put your 10 naira there as a store of value because you want to maybe see 10 years from now, then they should bring the numbers and then calculate. You can start with the 10 pizzas, two pizzas, for example. Everything crashes. The housing market will crash, and there's time when houses will be cheap in one place, work will cause it, and things like that. So what are they talking about?
Crashing. So it's crashing. Currency crashing is not even a new thing anymore.
I mean, every business, every investment, it has every likelihood of crashing at every point in time. You know,
It's
so
in.
yeah. So some of us that believe so much in this, I guess we should talk more of it if it's really beneficial to people. I mean, we should talk more of it. Brian is always a pro
Yeah, I'm
of
learning. I'm
Bitcoin.
actually trying to program it. I think it's something that will really help Africans, because there are people that say it's gonna be like the digital gold. So assume that we take that analogy for real. If, apart from the fact that when you hear gold, you know you mean value that it captures. Another thing about gold is that you can go to your backyard and start digging if you're sure that you will get it. That's how gold is made. Maybe people might play you out of that, but it's usually, oh shit, I think she disconnected. So let's see.
Okay, and I
Okay.
and I see there are comments from
Oh yeah, yeah, there are comments.
yeah, there are comments. I saw Gloria.
Yeah.
Gloria just commented something. Maybe Brian would like to read
Yeah, it was
about
there
it.
like
If it's
44
it,
minutes. Thanks, Gloria. She says a busy blessing has a clear sense of what is right and how to go. Her first class is only the foundation. I believe she will go far. Proud of you, blessing. That's from Gloria and Bella. And we had her here, and yeah, we can't
you.
wait to invite her over again. Yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah, so I mean, and now that we're still discussing about computer forensics, it's if since people say it's equivalent to gold, if you go to your backyard, if you own the land and you start digging, you could start mining for something, right? Start digging and digging and digging. If you find it, fine. So long as you have the money to sponsor that activity, normally no one can come and take it because it's yours. So if the internet is landscape and you're able to go to your backyard and start digging and you find something that is good, what's stopping you from making a life out of it or keeping it in the same way that the grandparents did? So it's the same thing with this Bitcoin. If you have something that you think you're doing, like how we are chatting, if we have a way of converting all this energy that we're spending to do this, if we have a way of processing that energy and it produces Bitcoin, we have proof that we spent energy. So that's coin that we can make ourselves. There's no central person like the bank to give you that money. They will have spent it. So we can keep that value that we've created ourselves and exchange it with other people. That's real money there. But if you have one central bank that is printing money, they have the print button. What is stopping them from printing it in the morning when the chief ate pepper? And he feels like, oh, I feel like spending money. What is stopping them? They may give you an excuse like, we want to help these people, we want to help that. But that's what is causing your currency to drop in value. So, but with such, I think the governments should be
Yeah.
encouraging people to use it and store their value that they can carry across generations and generations. That's what I think.
Mm, yeah, beautifully said.
Mashallah, that was a lawyer. So, I mean, we've been chatting for a while, but I think I should pick your brain now that we have you here about like business. You have not just demonstrated your skill, through maybe having ace and acing other things. Those are just like activities. It's not. It's like cooking rice. Going to school will be like just cooking rice, and then maybe there are other things that you can do. So that shows your skill in it. So what are your experiences in business? What drives you when you do business, and how do you what do you envision? What are like the techniques that you think are good for society, um, especially society that wants to, uh, how will I say, a society that wants to support sustainable development?
Okay, so when it comes to business, a driving force for me is identifying a problem and trying to solve it through business because that's where you have the market for that particular business.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I find out that in as much as we have many people who seem to be caterers today, not everybody can give you that satisfactory and healthy meal that you want and at an affordable rate.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a problem I felt like I should solve. And another problem is that I felt like there are certain meals, they may not be so exotic, but the prices are something else. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt like, you know what, I'm going to learn this for myself. So to be sincere, when I learned catering, I learned it for myself, for my family.
Mm-hmm.
But later on in school, like my late friend of blessed memory around to me,
Yes,
because
sir. So
he was
please.
someone I confided in. We
Mm-hmm.
were in NDU together. So
Mm-hmm.
I would always say things like, "Oh, I'm struggling with how to manage money. Like, of course, the money my parents are sending me is not sufficient, but like I'm thinking of what else I can do that I can still combine with my studies so it won't affect my studies." And I was like, but you mentioned that before you gained admission, yeah, you studied catering. So what stops you from using that knowledge to make money and support yourself while you're in school?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, but then how do I combine it?"
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I found a way to combine it. So I used to do more of weekend jobs. Then maybe sometimes if I don't really have morning classes, I can take some morning jobs, deliver some things for some birthday parties, housewarming, church programs, etc. I was also into decoration as well. So for me, business for me, I feel you need to identify a problem and learn how to solve it. Then secondly, don't just do business anyhow. You have to ensure that you're able to satisfy those who are your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Like for my brand, it's Big Cuisines. My brand is Big Cuisines. That's the platform I've been using for some years for my food brand. And my motto is your optimum satisfaction is my concern, or it's our concern rather. So what has been key for me is to ensure that even if you're eating my jollof rice or my pepper soup or something as minor as my tea or my cereal, like no matter how minute it may be, when you test it, there should be something significant or peculiar about it. Number one, I'm careful. I try to make sure that I prepare my food in a very healthy manner. I make sure that when you're eating my food, you don't come across any sand, you don't see hair, you don't see rope, all of these things. And then, so for me, when it comes to business, even as much as I love money is not the focal point for me. I feel like if you get the business right, get your clients happy, and by the time you put a price tag, they'll be willing to pay because they know the value they are getting. So that has been a driving force for me, and I got to a point where I was able to establish myself in Bielsa regarding catering. Or because of law school, I had to leave, and because of work as well, I had to leave for Lagos and all. But in my experience as someone who is into business, I feel some mistakes people make is in businesses, they do things the common way other people do it.
Okay.
There's nothing special about them. For some people, there's nothing special about them. They don't put in, they don't, so for me, just like what I mentioned earlier, for anything I do, I try to put in my 100%. I try to make sure that you see excellence in it. So even that's what I was saying, even outside academics, beyond academics, when it comes to food, when it comes to other things I do, I try to make sure that it's as excellent as possible. So by God's grace, I've made that thing for myself when it comes to food. Even where I work, they know me as a foodie. In fact, even in my church, sometimes I have to carry extra meal packs for some people because they'll be like, oh, I saw this on your status. When am I having this? When next are you cooking this? I would like to have it. So to be sincere, for like the past 3 years, I've not been doing it on a commercial level because of my career, but on a personal level, I still do it. But my advice to business owners out there is business is not easy. Number one, you have to identify your market, and you have to find a way to make your clients happy, satisfy them such that even if there are 1,000,001 people who are doing that particular business, if, for example, food comes to their mind, it should be you they should think of first. And that's not because, yes, and then it's customer service too. Some people, they are good at what they do, but their customer service is poor. So for me, I hold my clients very dear to my heart. I speak to them in a very polite manner. I make everybody feel special, despite the fact that some people may order lesser than some. I don't make people who order for smaller quantities feel like they're not valued by me. So some people, they make that mistake in business. They feel like, oh, because this is not the big fish, it's not the big client, so I can talk to them anyhow. I can deliver to them anytime. No, because the small clients, the so-called small clients you have today can be your big clients tomorrow, and they can give you referrals that in coming years, when you look back, you know that this is really, in fact, there's some kind of referrals you get to feel like you don't even need to do the daily food deliveries anymore. Yes. So these are things I think business people should take into mind. They should try to put in their best in it, make sure their clients are satisfied. Don't do things anyhow. Make sure that their customer service is good. Try to get new ways of doing things, because now is the time you need to adjust and think of innovative ways of making your clients or customers satisfied, etc. So that's it in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell for me regarding business. And then you have to be patient too. But there are times you may not get others. There are times you may not get others, and you'll be like, oh, what's happening? But just keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. Have an online presence. Have your page that people can see your work and follow you, and that way you see that.
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's just that when you mentioned patience, I was thinking that if you cook food, you should be patient. You should not eat it all before.
Patient, more like they don't make it out of the business as fast as possible.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, I don't know. My stupid brain was thinking that patient when you cook, don't eat it all. Be patient enough for people to come. Somebody visits, they give him water. He says that he will drink after eating. So they're asking them, who do they will give you food? So it means that she's the kind of person that when you visit her, she gives you water. You say, no, I will drink after eating. Anyway, Isaac, over to you.
I learned that from my parents, because my parents, they feel like if you visit them, you have something to before you leave. I learned it
Okay.
from my parents.
All right.
Yes.
So when you give us
So even when
water,
I
we
go
can
back
say
home,
no. I go chop first.
yes.
You go talk first.
As the water eater, they'll give you food. Mashallah.
They play first.
Mhm.
You know, you are so you are so resourceful. You are
Thank
so
you.
resourceful. I'm sure wherever you walk, people, get a lot of value from you. And
Thank
that makes me to think that I don't like talking about the government all the time. When I talk about government, I want to hear new things. Because we all know what our government's doing. In Africa, what our government is. So you are now the face of Bielsa girl child. Most times, some of us will think I'm a journalist for some time now. Some of us will just think this is just a political appointment. They just want to use the government just wants to use her name to make a good name for us for themselves.
Mhm.
So I like to understand what are you doing? What is the office doing? For the girl child in Bielsa. I mean that I know that is bringing that we hope that is a result.
you. Just like you said, okay. So it's so my office is not like the regular SC or SSA appointments. So for me, it's more like an office that is a model for Bielsa girls and Bielsa youth as a whole, such that they can pay more attention to education, pay more attention to being the best in whatever they do, pay more attention to the fact that they can compete with other people from other parts of Nigeria and the world, etc. But in as much as the government of Bielsa State has not said, oh, with this your office, we're expecting A, B, C, D, personally, I have certain things I've set my mind to do using this office. So one of which I mentioned is the mentorship. And my website will be coming in very soon. And we'll launch it very soon. And on that platform, would have a part for mentorship where people have to subscribe to my mentorship um, package. And then secondly, I plan to have an enlightenment program in Bielsa where I can enlighten, educate Bielsa girls about the importance of education, the importance of having a skill, the importance of making a mark and not allowing the negative narrative of a typical Bielsan to affect you. Because like I mentioned, many people see Bielsans as, especially female Bielsans, as promiscuous. They see us as people who don't go to school. They see us as people who cannot compete with other parts of Nigeria, other people from other parts of the world. They see us as people who get uh, um, maybe get into early marriage or get into having a child out of wedlock, etc. But I thank God for the governor we have now. He has shown that he's interested in education. So I feel this office is one that will inspire young Bielsas, especially the girl child in Bielsa states, to ensure that they believe they are more than what they know. I may have achieved what I've achieved now, but they can do more, because that's my prayer, that people coming after me should do better than me. So yes, so mentorship, enlightenment, and then in the long term, I intend to have my own foundation where I can actually sponsor people who can't afford education. It's something I can't do now, but I know, God, there's a way God can bless me, and I would even start it shorter than or sooner than I expect. Yes, so those are the plans I have. And then I still plan to put out content online, so if people go to my page, they can learn one or two things from me and make their lives better.
Yeah, and another thing to the office, Isaac Abrak. So whatever activity you want to do, he's there for you. Isaac Abrak, that guy, he's on my screen, he's on top. He's to my left. So
What
Isaac
can I do
Abrak,
for her?
she
There
got
is nothing I can do for her than to ask her questions or invite her to Topo Spaces or tell her that Topo Spaces is always there for you. You have ideas you want to share. whatever you have you have things you want to promote, Topo Spaces is always here for you. We are
Thank
partnering,
you.
we are happy partners, with anybody that wants to contribute to humanity, so we are here for
Thank
you. But most of all, the question that I want to ask is that you are marriage material. When are you married yet, or when are you going to marry?
I'm not married yet, and I don't know when I'm getting married.
Mashallah.
And Jesus Christ. I asked somebody this question here, Brian, you remember?
That's Gloria. That's why I was just laughing because
Yes. And she said she was going to give me the card live, the invitation card. You don't know when you're going to get married.
I don't know.
Hajia, we had Hajia here. Hajia said she's the one who asked her husband out.
Yes. Hajia,
so when you say you don't know, it
Yusufu,
means you don't want. Yeah. So saying I don't know is like I don't want this. Like, you say you're waiting for some bus instead of you like going to take the bus.
Of course, now I can't. I can't be the one to propose now. I can't marry myself.
Where did they write that? Oh, okay. All right. I see.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the Aisha he's talking about, Aisha Yusufu.
Yes, I know. I saw
the human rights activist. Yeah. Yeah, so she came here. I mean, she said it here first. I like to always claim that she said it here first that she was one that toasted her husband and all of that. But that's not in any way to suggest to you that that's what you should do. But I was just curious with all these achievements and all of that. And as a traditional old man, African man like me, I mean, it's curious that I know when you are going to get married so that we can pray for you very well, and all of that, But of course, I mean, you have your future all in front of you, a very bright future. I mean, you take your time. I'm sure we'll be there. Me and Brian will be there on that day, when it happens.
Yeah, I'd love to fly there. and as a roundup, I'm wondering, Isaac said wife material, and as we spoke, that I don't really know what that means. And so I'm asking, when people like Chimamanda catch you, Isaac, if she should catch you saying what you're saying, that what I'm trying to say is,
I have a friend that is preparing a book for Chimamanda. Immediately she won't catch me like this. I will just pull him and say, "Oh yeah, and he's writing a book on feminism. He's replying Chimamanda for every book that she has written. He's replying her. And I mean, we are Africans, where we'll continue to try to retain our cultures and our values, Brian. I mean, she learned how to cook and everything. The next thing is to get husband and marry now, so that she transfer the knowledge and to the next generation. So I mean, what you learned today is Brian that has asked me this question. I didn't say anything. Brian that has asked me this question. Ebizi. I mean, because some of the things you learned is given from the parents, so I mean, we should also pass along. It'd be a great thing.
I mean, before I comment on that, imagine you know pepper, right? When you eat pepper, and I can't remember if it stings more when it's cold or when it's hot. One of them. If there's like heat, when it's hot, okay. So imagine how that your culture, they normally eat pepper, maybe because they were living on top of a mountain and then it was cold there, and pepper helped. Then global warming and stuff, things are getting warmer. So that same pepper that your grandfathers used to eat, you cannot really eat it now because it's too hot. So will you cling to that because it's tradition and the pepper will burn your whole mouth and your teeth out, or will you like evolve and proceed, Isaac? So I mean, in that light, culture, we have things that we can inherit, but as we go, as we evolve, we may have to drop some of them because it may be about some.
Yeah, but certainly not marriage.
No, I'm not talking about marriage. Not marriage. I'm not talking about marriage.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in part of the culture that we will drop.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. But now my question is your view on like feminism, because today there is a whole divide. It's like iron. Some of us used to look at steel when we're growing up, silver spoons and the rest, and we call it iron spoon, right? So somehow it's difficult to know what is real iron, what is steel, what is so the same like feminism. Like today, 10 people will say 10 different things. Some people are using it as bullets for others. Some people are using it as maybe some basket or some safe haven. So what are your views on it and what is it actually? And what side?
Well,
On what side are you, so that we should know?
Me, I'm
well,
listening.
when it comes to feminism, I know that there are different schools of thought,
Mm-hmm.
and while some people may be calm about it, some people are more let's use the word proactive or more they are more active about it. But what I will say in all of these things is women are strong people, and I know some people feel like society puts us at a disadvantage, but for me, I just feel like we should all rise above all of that, and especially the kind of negative energy some people put out on Twitter regarding this feminism thing. I know that sometimes it could be really extreme. You know, even the Bible says in everything, do it modest, do it with modest. So I feel even for those of us females who are the feminism school of thought, but I'm using females now as a general thing. I just feel like there's no need to be extreme about it. The most important thing is you know who you are, you know your worth, and it's not something you need to make noise about. You're on your own, just put in the work, do what you can do. There's no need for us fighting against the other gender. You know, all of these things. Most times, you really look at it, it's not as deep as we make it seem. Um, Regarding my position on feminism, it's a private position.
Ah,
But what I
I
know is
see.
yes, it's a private position. But what I know is
Was it Nepa?
women are
Oh,
strong people.
Yeah.
Yeah, women are strong people and they can do exploits. So it doesn't matter how society may see us.
Mm-hmm. Mashallah.
yeah. Nice, man. I think I have we've spoken for a long
That's why I
time
do.
now.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we do. We
That's
do.
why I
Yes,
made
we do.
reference song at the beginning of the show. I made reference to like you by Tashana Manomis. Yes, it has very strong and meaningful lyrics that speaks to me as a lady.
Okay.
Like even something I would listen to and I would be like, oh yes. And then things like Born to Win. I also mentioned Born to Win by
Yeah. Right.
Maya. So most times, even when I listen to songs, I do not just listen to songs for the fun of it. It's the message I'm after. So there are some songs I may hear. If I don't really get anything tangible from it, I'll just delete it or not even download it.
You're a
So
lawyer. You're a lawyer now. You're looking for evidence of beauty in the song.
I guess yes. So yes, champion like things like champion, you know,
Oh, the
stand by
champion is
fire
the
for
one they sang. Yeah, I love that song too. The champion
yes,
felt
like
like, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that song
yes,
has a lot of power. Yeah.
that's the kind of song that's like my gospel song, songs that speak to my spirit man, my soul, build me up spiritually for the day. It is relaxes me when I'm back home. I listen to other songs that
If
give
that's it, just
me.
listen to the Quran then.
Sorry?
No, no, I was joking. I say if that's it, just listen to the Quran then. The whole recitation, they just sing the whole thing to your soul.
Me, because I'm a Christian, so I use more of the Bible, you know. So that's why I do more of gospel. And then even when I do secular, I don't just do any kind of secular, you know.
Hmm.
Mashallah. So,
And then there's this one that to me that is going to release soon. The lyrics of the song is more like anything you put your hands to work, there will be open doors. You too will be a boss. So these are
oh
the kind
wow.
of things that speak to me even before now. Like I usually tell people, who am I? Like who knew me before? I was just one small girl in her corner doing her thing, but God used people to speak up for me, recommend me, and yeah, I just really give the glory to God, and I'm thankful to
Yeah.
everyone out for me. You know, I'm very grateful.
Mashallah. I mean,
Good.
the only way I can reply to that amount of energy is by using the highest power that I know, that they say in the 99 names of Allah. That's all the names that can make all the things that can be made. That should also bless you as you move on your journey. Mashallah.
Okay.
So Isaac, yeah, over to you.
Yes, well, Caesar, I mean, we've asked every question. I mean, it's been nice talking with you here. I mean, just like I said quite a bit short earlier, that open space is open for you. Anything that you want to talk about, anytime you feel you want to share any wisdom, please just hit us up, and I mean, we will be happy to have you here. And if
Thanks.
there's any special thing that you want to say that we have not asked you is in your mind, please, this is the time for you to just say it, and we go and crash.
I'll just say this. So yes, I'm a Christian. So like I mentioned before, beyond the hard work, beyond the whole putting in your best, as a Christian, I believe that you need to have God on your side to make things work for you. Because I see myself as not better than any other person. Because I've seen people who have worked as hard as I do, worked harder than me, but somehow they are not where they want to be yet. So in a nutshell, you can labor for all you can put in the work for all you can, but you still need God's favor. Like you can't just afford to leave God out of the picture because life throws different things at people. It can throw you stones, it can throw you lemons. But if you have God on your side, even when life throws certain things at you, you'll be able to scale through successfully. Being where I am today, it's beyond hard work, it's beyond diligence, it's beyond reading, it's beyond being a genius. Like there are people who have done put in more work than I have. There are people who have you know done things even in a better way, but somehow, despite who I am, my humble background, but I just found favor in God's eyes. So I feel like the more people realize the God factor in their lives and the role He has to play, the better for them. Because if you leave Him out of the picture, you may put in all the work, and at the end of the day, you won't get the results that you desire. So that's just what I want to say to
Mashallah.
conclude.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Mashallah. So thank you. Like Isaac said, please consider this to be like one of the episodes out of a countless number of episodes that we could have. I've learned a lot.
Okay.
I think only the way wisdom goes to the soul, right? Or the
Yeah.
stomach, or whatever they say. So just the wisdom, I have to digest it. I need to drink a big jug of water after this just to digest all what I've learned from here. It's amazing to all those that are listening. Thanks for your time. Thanks for this. Without you, this space will not exist. And if you want to appear and say something, feel free to reach out to so we'll organize an episode. Thank you guys. Thank everyone.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Ebizi. Bye
Yes,
bye.
thanks.